Coincidentally, yesterday we were talking about the temperature, and we did set a record 118 degrees, but then immediately everybody begins to talk about climate change. And I went down, I won't do the same rant I did yesterday, but I went down the list of how they've been wrong since my childhood. And I'm a pretty old guy, but they've been wrong in predictions ever since. And this alarmist mentality bothers me. And coincidentally, a story came out. I just happened to read it today. Turns out Americans don't really care about climate change. A Gallup found out that 40% of Americans are greatly worried about climate change. That's decreased 6 percentage points from 2020. The new numbers emerged as many, including Democrat members of Congress, have attempted to blame climate change and President Trump for what happened in Central Texas. This is where the problem lies for me. If you would talk to me without any knowledge of who I am, and we started talking about the environment, and we started talking about what we should do, you would hear me say things and probably think that I was an environmentalist, because I believe that I am. One of the things I said yesterday, I meant it very seriously, is I have been blessed to live in two of the most beautiful places that this country has to offer. The beaches of Southwest Florida are amazingly gorgeous. But when you turn and you go east and you go into the Everglades, it is breathtaking. It is one of the most beautiful and spooky ecosystems God has ever created. It is an amazing place that I absolutely love to be. And then I came to Arizona. The desert landscape is breathtaking, but you can get an hour out of town in almost any direction and find just remarkable beauty. As I mentioned, being with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office and their boat patrol, lake patrol, but I was on the river with the airboat on the Salt River. And it took my breath away in places. I mean, where else are you going to see herds of wild horses grazing in the river, drinking from the river, and just beauty is in every direction. Everywhere you turned, it was just beautiful. So I want to preserve. I want your grandchildren and great-grandchildren to have access to the same beauty. Clean air, clean water, those herds of wild horses. So the idea that I am in favor or don't care if those things are destroyed is just a false narrative. But the idea that human beings are the problem and that industrialization is a problem, and it isn't. There was the same kind of flooding in Central Texas in the 1980s, I believe it was, 70s or 80s. And the reason why I bring this up is there was a massive program. By the way, our power companies said, both APS and SRP, said that we set a peak demand record during that hottest day of the year yesterday. So we're setting records. There is a program that was called, I'm trying to look at the name of it. It's the Grain Belt Express Project by the Department of Energy. It was a multi-billion-dollar, it was an $11 billion transmission line project that was going to go, eminent domain and go across people's property. And it was to bring electricity from a wind farm across part of the country. It was going to bring wind farms in Kansas across Missouri and Illinois to Indiana. And so it was an $11 billion project, and they are getting rid of it. They're getting rid of it because of its inefficiency. But again, this is the environmentalist conversation that we keep having. And the reason why we keep having it is because the argument that somehow fossil fuels are the problem, and it just isn't the case. We've made so many changes. We are so much more efficient. We are so much better at things now than we were before. I keep using the example of I grew up in the generation that had leaded gasoline. We had lead in our fuel. And when they went and transferred, and it took well over a decade to make the transition from leaded to totally unleaded fuel, that you would go and get gas, and for a long time, you had the choice between leaded and unleaded fuel until there was a drop dead date, because with the catalytic converters now, cars burn much more efficiently. So I'm not against progress. I'm not against electric powered vehicle or solar power. We live in one of the sunniest places on the planet. I'm in favor of all of those things. It's the mandates, and it's the requirement, and it's the harsh tone. It was the previous administration's overt attacks on fossil fuels that I believe fueled the massive inflation that we felt in this country. That if we are reasonable about things, most people are reasonable. Most of us get angry if you see somebody litter. I know that sounds silly, but environmentalism lives in all of us. If we're driving in Arizona, we love this place. When somebody throws a cigarette out the window, we know they can start a fire. They're idiots. If you are throwing trash out of your window, someone's going to call you out. If you're out camping, they say leave it cleaner than you found it, and most campers do that. They take care of their surroundings. We all should do that. But this man-made climate change, people are the problem and we are going to ruin the planet, is just not true. And less people are concerned about it, and these studies show it. It's one of the reasons why I decided I was going to talk about this again, because the studies are showing it. People care about their surroundings. They don't want to hear the politics of this.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Tap to watch and listen to the new season of Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast. You can also click the button in the middle to subscribe.